Okay, so we're going to be making a little mock-up or a maquette of a gallery interior or a small section of a museum interior, and we're going to be filling it with some artwork. It starts with a single sheet of foam board that's 32 inches long and 8 inches wide. And the first thing we're going to do is cut off 12 inches off the end. You've used X-Acto knives before, but it's worth repeating. You want to make sure you don't try to cut all the way through in a single pass. It's just too hard to keep your cuts straight if you're doing that. Now I've used the cutoff, and I'm going to use that to mark another 12-inch piece. Again, just score it lightly and then go back with a little more pressure until you get all the way through. Now we have an 8 by 8 inch square, and we're going to cut that down to 8 by 6 inches. So here I'm cutting off 2 inches off the end. I'm going to save that little piece for later, and now that 6 by 8 piece will become the wall that has a doorway in it. Measuring 4 inches in and then 6.5 inches in from one end, we're able to mark where that doorway will be. That's 4 and 6.5, and then we need to come down from the top edge of that wall 1.5 inches. And again, I make two little marks. And I'm going to flip the ruler over so that I can get the surface contact of the ruler right on the actual foam board. It makes it a little easier to draw directly on the foam. I'm also using the corner of the ruler to help draw distinct corners on that doorway. Now cutting this out, it's a little tricky in that you want to try to avoid overcutting your corners. You want to try to get your cut so it ends right at that intersection of lines in the corner. And the best way to do that is to hold that X-Acto knife as vertically as you possibly can. If you don't get all the way through, you can flip it over and make some little cuts on the back. You're going to want to save that cutout. We're going to be making a little painting to mount on the wall inside your little gallery space. Next, we're going to be laying out where that wall is going to be, and we're going to line up the two 12-inch long pieces, come in from the right side 5 inches, mark that in a couple of places. And we don't want to extend that line all the way to the top of the back wall, so I'm measuring down 2 inches to show me where I need to stop the line. So I want to go from 2 inches down all the way down to the bottom of that lower piece. Now what we need to do is pre-drill or pre-poke a couple of holes with straight pins that we're going to be using to help hold this wall in place while the glue dries. I'm just making a couple little marks to show me where I want to put the pins, and then I'm erasing the line where the doorway will be so I don't have to do that once it's assembled. Now those two little marks that I made, I'm going to poke the pin through and try to poke it as straight through, perpendicular to the surface as you possibly can. If you go at an angle, it's going to be a real problem when you try to poke the pin back through from the other side. Now here I'm just going up about 1/3 of the way and then another 1/3 of the way on that back line for 2 more pinholes. And now I'm going to assemble first the floor to the back wall, and for that I'm going to use just a small bead of white glue. I'm I'm going to smooth it out. I'm going to try not to get any drips running down the floor, and then I'm going to take that back wall, just line it up. Now I don't have any pre-poked holes, but I don't really need them here. I just need to come in, again, about 1/3 of the overall distance and put that pin right in there while everything is flush. Now for the final push, you're going to want to use the back end of your X-Acto knife because it's really difficult. Once you get it most of the way in there, it starts putting up a lot of resistance on your thumb, and you want to sink that pin as deep as you can, and for that I use the back of the X-Acto knife. Mounting the wall, we just put glue along the back edge of that wall and then along the lower edge, those two surfaces. Again, smooth it out, just a little even coat of glue. You don't want it squishing out all over the place. A little bit is all you need. Okay, you line that up so it's centered right on that line that you've already drawn. And now you have pre-drilled holes, so you can just poke that pin right through and hopefully it won't come out in a strange angle into your wall. Hopefully you just won't see that pin at all. And then again, countersink it with the end of the X-Acto knife. Those pins will hold it nice and tight while the glue dries, and when the glue sets up, you're in business.